Alright, now let's look at this question. This is all about initial action. Option E says determine potential risk and mitigation strategies. Risk identification and mitigation are planning activities, not initiation steps. Hence incorrect. We'll move to now option B. B says define the business objectives and deliverables. Defining business objectives and deliverables establishes the project's purpose and aligns it with organizational goals during initiation. Let's keep this. We'll move to C. C says develop a hierarchical task breakdown. Creating a task breakdown structure is a detailed planning task that follows project approvals. Let's delete this. We'll move to option D. D says establish a timeline for team activities. Developing a team timeline occurs in the planning phase after initiation is complete. So this is not the correct choice. We'll remove it. Let's lock option B as the right answer. Okay, let's look at this question. This is about determining the change. Option E says communicate the status change. Communicating status occurs after the change is approved, not before. Hence incorrect. We'll move to B. B says document change recommendation. Documentation supports the change request but is not the immediate step after determining solutions. Wrong answer. We'll move to C. C says create a change request. A change request formalizes the proposed solutions for review and approval, ensuring proper governance. Let's keep it. We'll move to D. D says implement the changes. Implementing changes without approval violates change control processes. We'll reject it. We'll lock option C, create a change request as the right answer. Alrighty, now let's look at this question. This is about resource overload. Option E says adjust task dependencies to a finish to start order. Changing tasks to a finish to start sequence allows the resource to focus on one task at a time, reducing overload. Let's keep it. We'll move to B. B says assess and update the timeline using a progress burn down chart. A burn down chart tracks progress but doesn't resolve resource allocation conflicts. We'll reject it. We'll move to now option C. C says bring in extra team members to reduce the workload. Adding resources may help but is not the most efficient solution if tasks can be rescheduled. Let's delete this. We'll move to option D. D says conduct an analysis of the critical path. Critical path analysis identifies scheduling flexibility but doesn't fix resource over allocation. We'll delete this. We'll lock option A as the right answer. Alright, are you ready for this question? This will test your concepts on defining the success criteria. Option A says lead architect. The lead architect focuses on technical design rather than business success matrix. Incorrect. We'll move to B. B says project sponsor. The project sponsor holds the authority and responsibility for defining what constitutes project success as they represent the business interest. Let's keep it. We'll move to C. C says program manager. A program manager oversees related projects but doesn't set success criteria for individual initiatives. Wrong answer. We'll move to D. D says Scrum Master. A Scrum Master facilitates agile processes but doesn't define project level success criteria. We'll reject it. We'll lock option B, project sponsor, as the right answer. Alright, now let's look at this question. This is about operational security. Option E says processing background screening. Reviewing staff backgrounds is connected to operational security because it helps prevent insider threats that might jeopardize sensitive business data. Let's keep this. We'll move to B. B says setting up a firewall. Configuring a firewall setup belongs to technical controls, not to operational security practices. We'll reject it. We'll move to C. C says stabilizing a zone of trust. Creating a trust-based network segment aligns with network architecture, not with operational security. We'll delete this. We'll move to D. This is implementing multi-factor authentication. Enforcing multi-factor authentication procedures focuses on authentication, while operational security deals with people, processes, and safeguarding information. So this is not what we are looking for. We'll delete this. Let's lock option A, processing background screening, as the right choice. Alright, now let's look at this question. Option A says remove the team members access. Access removal is not about time charging or resource availability for new projects. So this is out. We'll move to B. B says release the project resources. The ongoing allocation of time indicates project resources were not freed up following project completion, which should have been done to allow reassignment. Looks good, we can keep it. We'll move to C. C says collect the stakeholders' feedback. Feedback collection is part of project closure but doesn't affect resource assignment. We'll delete this. We'll move to D. D says have the closeout report approved. Approving the closeout report formalizes closure but doesn't manage resource allocation. We'll reject this. We'll lock option B as the right answer. Alright, now let's look at this question. This will test your concepts on financial risk for the buyer. Option E says time and material. Time and material contracts provide cost visibility and control through incremental billing. Hence incorrect. We'll move to B. B says cost plus. Cost plus contracts require the buyer to pay for all expenses incurred, exposing them to potential cost overruns with limited vendor incentive for efficiency. Let's keep this. We'll move to C. C says fixed price. Fixed price contracts transfer cost risk to the vendor, protecting the buyer. Let's delete this. We'll move to D. D says unit price. Unit price contracts allow buyers to control cost by paying only for measurable outputs. We'll reject this. We'll lock option B, cost plus, as the right answer. Alright, now let's look at this question. This is the question is looking for the primary reason for to use a SOW, that is statement of work, in this engagement. Option A says to obtain vendor contract details. Contact information is typically found in contracts or vendor profiles, not in statement of work, that is SOW. Incorrect. Let's move to option B. B says to examine the list of involved parties. Stakeholder lists are managed in stakeholder registers, not the SOW. Wrong answer. We'll move to C. C says to maintain adherence to the agreed upon deliverables. A statement of work defines project boundaries and deliverables, preventing scope creep and ensuring contractual compliance. Let's keep it. We'll move to option D. D says to provide detailed technical implementation steps. Work methods are detailed in technical documents, not the high level SOW. We'll reject it. We'll lock option C as the right answer. Alright, now let's look at this question. This is about visual representation of project progress. Option A says milestone chart. Milestone chart shows key dates but doesn't illustrate ongoing progress in an agile context. Incorrect. We'll move to B. B says velocity chart. Velocity chart measures team capacity over iterations but doesn't show real-time progress towards towards current goals. We'll delete this. We'll move to C. C says task board. A task board shows work status but doesn't provide a quantitative progress view against timelines. We'll reject it. We'll move to D. D says burn down chart. Burn down chart visually tracks remaining work against time, providing a clear progress indicator for agile projects. That being said, option D, burn down chart, is the right answer. Alrighty, now let's look at this question. Option E says waterfall. Waterfall delivers functionality only at the project end, not through multiple milestones. Incorrect. We'll move to B. B says SDLC. SDLC is a general term for development processes, not a specific methodology for iterative delivery. Wrong answer. We'll move to C. C says XP. XP focuses on technical practices but doesn't provide the structured review cycles of Scrum. We'll reject it. We'll move to D. D says Scrum. Scrum uses fixed length sprints to deliver potentially shippable increments regularly, enabling frequent stakeholder demonstration. Looks good. We'll lock option D, Scrum, as the right answer. So please don't go away. Let's meet in the next part of the series.